Hello, everyone. So I'm Sam Willand. I've done interviews before. This time I have DC with me, who will be releasing his newest album, Me.
Hi, I'm DC, and just like he said, I have a new album coming out on June 11th, so do not miss it. And I'm going to be doing an awesome interview right now.
Okay, hopefully I don't mess up.
Oh no,
um,
if anything, I'm going to be the one that's messing up.
well, we've already have fought with Skype for like half an
Oh
hour,
my
so
gosh, yes.
now your album is going to be on like all streaming services.
Uh-huh.
Okay, work. And there's a regular version and a deluxe version, which
Yep.
contains an acoustic version of Why Me, an extra track, and a demo version.
Two extra tracks.
Oh, yes, Amuse is one of them, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And the other one was,
Uh, Butterfly.
oh, okay. Yeah, the way I listened to the album, like all the tracks were numbered normally, so I didn't know which ones were the bonus ones. Um, so what we're gonna do is start with some general questions before we get to the album. So,
Mhm.
what inspired you to start making music?
Okay, what inspired me to make music? Well, I've always wanted to make music like my whole life, and in second grade, I even wrote like a couple of sentences that are super cringy that I probably won't ever share to the world. But yeah, it was just my first attempt, and yeah, I've always loved music, a lot of pop music. I grew up to like Kesha and Lady Gaga, and my music has changed a lot, like taste wise. Yeah, I tried to write uh, early summer before fifth grade, and it just wasn't working out because I was more into writing stories back then. And I even wrote a novel in fifth grade, and I got accepted by a publisher, but it costed $3,395 to get it published. So that was a big rule out for that, and it never happened.
Interesting. All right, I didn't know you were a novel writer. Work. Maybe you can get that self-published someday.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about it. Like that'd be super awesome to do one day, just like to go back in and rewrite everything and make sure it's all perfect and stuff and just put it out.
Yeah, well, if you do, definitely shell it out, and I will definitely read it.
It's on Wattpad right now, but it's really bad.
Well, I mean, you wrote it, you said what, in fifth grade? So, I
hmm
mean, I'm sure it's like probably really good for a fifth grader.
Yeah.
Because when I was fifth grade, the only thing I did was like play the Wii or something.
Oh my gosh, same.
So your first album, Technology, came out in
hmm
November of 2019. Does that
August.
feel like a long time ago to you, or does that feel like just yesterday?
It does feel a lot. It does feel like it's been out for a long time. It actually came out in August, and yeah, at the time when I put it out, I didn't really know anything about like promotion and rollouts and stuff. All I had was a forum that I posted on, which I will not be naming the name of because their moderation team is transphobic racist. It's been a really long time. I've been making a lot of these demos since 2018, actually. I think Passion was one of the first songs that I really made where I felt like I was kind of going somewhere and I had like a specific style going on because it had like a bunch of house influences within it. And then the one song that I felt like was like the song that I knew that I was going to continue making music was Rolling Into Town, which I made in August of 2018, so exactly a year before the album came out. And I made it around the time where I was like starting to like experiment with my writing a bit, so I wanted to do stuff that I didn't really or that I haven't really written about before. And I just wanted a really good feel good song because like a lot of songs that I make I feel like are feel good songs, and that was kind of like the start of it. And I just did everything that I could with the production. I had my dad record his guitar stuff. I used a bunch of synths that I played on a website and I screen recorded it and I like edited it and compiled it together. And yeah, because there's like some really cool online synthesizers that you can play like on your own keyboard, and that's what I used to do it on. and just trying to make that album. There's just like or that song, I guess album too, but that song in particular, there's just so much that I put into it, and when it was finally done for the time being, I I just knew that I was finally going somewhere with my sound and my lyric stuff.
Well, that's really cool. I didn't know you worked with your dad on that.
Yeah, I work with my dad all the time.
Yeah, I know you said you worked with him on the Way I Like to Move video, which we'll get to in a bit.
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel like your process has changed since technology, or has it changed a lot?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely changed. Right now I'm thinking like how I make a song, I imagine like how the music video would look like or like how I'd be able to promote it and stuff. So I'm now thinking about like conscious stuff that people who are like actual independent artists actually think of. And when I was making technology, I didn't really have any idea at all how I was going to promote it or anything. I just wanted to make music and put it out there. And I was still a little bit nervous about it because it was my first time. So I didn't even like think that far ahead yet. And right now, I'm like thinking 3 years in the future, and I know exactly what I'm going to be putting out within those 3 years. And I'm trying to figure out how to promote it and stuff. So yeah,
Well,
that's really changed.
yeah, well, it's always good to be prepared, especially 3 years in the future. I probably should do that. Now, how long does it usually take you to make an album? Does it change each time? Because I know you told me you've been working on this one since before Blue.
Yeah. I was oh well, for one song, I still got feelings for you. That was actually a technology reject that I was making in late 2018 when I was trying to experiment with an FL Studio for the first time. And I have a really bad demo for it that I recorded in Audacity because I was like switching between the programs because I made a lot of my songs using Audacity, and then I was switching over to FL Studio, and that was like the transition era. And when I heard the demo, I was like, I could really give the song some justice, and I feel like it would really fit the album as a whole, and it felt like it would be a really awkward way to end it, so then people would have to get the deluxe version. So that's what I did. I recreated the song in December, but I wrote it back in 2018. So like really, technically I've been working on this album for like over 2 years because of that one song. But yeah, the idea for the actual album itself, I didn't really have any idea. I just wanted at first I did have an idea after a little while. At first I wanted to make an album that was more on the electronic side because Blue I felt like was more on, well, it was also on the electronic side, but it felt more like alternative or indie, like just slightly more personal is what I describe it as. And I wanted to make an album that was personal, but also a way for everyone else to sort of relate to everything. Because a lot of the songs on Blue, I feel like, could be relatable, but were a little bit more for me only, like Forever and Pictures.
Yeah, it's interesting because the album's called Me, but it honestly is something that pretty much anyone could relate to.
Yeah,
I
especially with
found
On My Mind.
Yeah, I found myself listening to some of the songs, being like, "Wow," you're like, "Yeah, I've been through that." um, now,
Oof.
what artists most inspire you? I know you said this in a Q&A, but for I guess people who haven't seen that yet,
Mhm.
what artists throughout your years have like made a connection to you, or you felt inspired by?
Oh, when I was like 5 years old, I was really inspired by Gwen Stefani and Hoa Doubt, you know, the band that she was in before, or still is. I don't know. But yeah, I was really inspired by her because she was super awesome, and I was obsessed with the song Spiderwebs when I grew up. And Blondie also really inspired me too. Prince as well. I was always listening to their music like on, well, when I first got Spotify, I saved like a bunch of Prince songs instantly because like he was like my favorite thing to listen to at the time. And so yeah, his all of their sounds I feel like have inspired me in a way because they're always doing like interesting stuff. Like they're always screaming or they're singing softly or they're using like really unique sounds and production wise. And a lot of that has really inspired me. And I feel like Taylor Swift has also been one of my favorites growing up too. I actually saw her at the Mall of America in 2007 when I was 3 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
when her first album came out.
yeah, yeah. Picture to Burn was my most favorite song of all time. It was awesome. Or I feel like a lot of different artists inspire me throughout different eras. So like Technology, I was really inspired by Poppy at the time. Blue, I was really inspired by Melanie Martinez because of the interesting productions that she always adds in. I wanted to kind of do that with the songs in Blue. So that's why all the verses and stuff have a lot of little intricate percussions and stuff. So that's what I was trying to like ace the music around for those eras. And then for me, I felt like I was really inspired by Lady Gaga because of Chromatica, as you know. And I was also really inspired by Dua Lipa for this album. You know, a lot of like these artists that just created a bunch of music within the past couple of years have really inspired me as well. Even Poppy.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is I can tell those influences are in the album, but it doesn't come across as like copying or like you're just doing what they're
Yeah.
doing. I definitely got a lot of like Lady Gaga feels with this album. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, I thank you.
Oh, no problem. So this may sound like a stupid question, but would it be safe to say the main theme of this album is me or you? Could you go into that a little bit?
Well, I wanted to make an album that was personal but like electronic, like I said before, and I didn't know what I wanted to call it because the first couple of songs that I made for it were I started to work on Layers with Kyla Gray back in February of 2020. And that's when, oh wait, no, okay, so before that, I was trying to come up with like a really dark album that touched on like societal issues. So like things that we like because I started to write a song called In the Shadows where there's like things that people talk about and then there's also things that people don't talk about, so like a bunch of issues that goes on within humanity, and that's where like the shadows would be because you know all these things that are happening, people don't like to talk about them, so they're in the shadows. And I started to write Layers right after that. I wrote the chorus for it, and then I told Kayla Gray about it, and he sent me the instrumental that is actually on the song right now, and yeah, it's just like it was very energetic, and I thought it was much better than the original idea that I had because I thought about like some topics that I was gonna do, and I just didn't really feel like doing it, especially with how the way 2020 started to slowly turn out. I just was not feeling a bunch of dark stuff at the time. And so yeah, I just felt like I really needed an uplifting type of sound to the album. It's Gonna Be Okay was actually the third song that I technically wrote for it. Yeah, so the whole entire process of making me stemmed from a bunch of ideas that I was trying to go with, and then I just like improved on it over time.
Yeah, that's usually like the best way to like make something is like
Mhm.
when you have one idea, it usually like leads to like a web of ideas and you can kind of
Yeah.
like take the best of each. Yeah, definitely one of the It's Gonna Be Okay. We'll definitely talk about that later.
Hmm.
I definitely noticed a difference between the two versions. Now you have the track a butterfly as well as on the album artwork you have kind of a butterfly outfit, I guess I could say, with the wings.
Yeah.
How did that sort of imagery kind of come together?
Okay, so originally I was gonna use the wings for like a butterfly visual, and I think I told you about this already. But I had it saved on like my Amazon save list things that I just put like a bunch of stuff on there that I think would look cool. And I realized like I could use the wings for because like originally the album cover is gonna be made by Steph Morganzi, and I still have like the album that they came up with, but I felt like because they put like so much work into it, and I felt really bad for not using it because they really did work hard, and I'm probably going to be using it for a single cover eventually. But for the album, I felt like it was kind of like losing, like I was kind of like losing myself within the art, and I told them about it. I told them about it because they're actually non-binary, and I I was trying to come up with another idea that I felt like that I had a personal connection to with, and I realized that like these light up wings that I just got for anything because I didn't really plan on using them really. I just had an idea to use them for the butterfly visual, but I didn't know if I was actually going to use them for anything else. And then I realized like, oh, I should use this for like the album cover because like in case you uh if you don't remember it, there's like a big purple like a it's it looks like half is painted with like a purple gradient, and then the other half looks normal. I wanted it to represent for that alone. I wanted the purple half to represent like the paint a picture, like the perfect image, that celebrities usually use, and then the other half to be unpainted and to show that I can easily cross over between the two just being myself and wearing these awesome butterfly wings that I just got because I don't care about like what people like paint me out to be. If that even ever happens at all, it probably doesn't because no one really cares about me that much. Anyway.
Very interesting with the cover. I didn't know that. That's a whole new perspective to it.
Yeah.
And definitely, I hope this album gets a lot of streams because I think it's just absolutely fantastic. Obviously, I'm very lucky because I've heard it earlier, but I can tell people who are listening that definitely support this album, stream it. Is it going to be on iTunes as well?
Yeah. Oh, also, first of all, everyone stream Heart's Revolution as well by Sam Willen because it is really cool.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because definitely on iTunes because I'm an old man. I still use
I
iTunes.
do too.
Okay,
yes, I
work.
do too.
Virtual high five. But that's awesome. So I'll get the album on there. So now
Awesome.
we're going to I'm gonna let you kind of take over. We're gonna go track by track.
Sweet.
And basically, I'd like you to talk about like any, basically what the song's about, kind of like give a nutshell kind of version of it, and maybe talk about anything interesting with production. And I might add something later afterwards if I have anything. But yeah, so we're gonna hop into this.
This is me. I know what I am made of. I know I am not tough like you. But this is me.
First track on the album is aptly titled Me, the title track, which you talked about a little bit. But if there's anything else you'd like to say about it, please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the song that took the longest to write on the album. It literally took like 8 or 9 months to write. And it's really so simple that I just didn't really feel like it should have taken that long, but it did. And the reason why is because I wanted to be very careful about what I wanted to put in it, because the song all about me, there's like anything you can put into it. You can put like your like a song about your birthday, because it's about you. A song about like your zodiac sign, which I actually put in there and then I deleted it. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that it had a message as well, because we're living in a world where there's like a lot of fighting everywhere, and I kind of wanted to put it in there because I'm also experiencing this stuff as well. Everyone is experiencing constant war, threats, everything, and I kind of wanted to just like put that in there throughout the verses. And there's a line that I came up with called justification for the justice in vain. about how sometimes we praise people for doing the wrong things. Justification for the just is in vain was a line that I just randomly thought of while I was singing the song, and it felt perfect to put it in there. So I wrote it down real quick. And then I added without thinking twice before critiquing the pain, because I know people that are in my life that will just judge everything for no reason. And, you know, they say, you know, like the snowflake excuse that they always say, or like they're trying to push some agenda. And it's like, yeah, but do you know anything about the cause that you're like protruding onto these people, and like the reason why they're upset, you know? Because like I feel like too many people are quick to judge even when they're wrong, and you know, just a whole bunch of unnecessary hate that I've experienced, that I've watched people do, and I feel like we should start taking accountability of how we are using our freedom of speech. And I really wanted to put that in a song somewhere, and I felt like this was the perfect one to put it in.
So we're gonna move on to No Lies Detected.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this one. This is one of my favorites. Could you go into this one?
Ooh. Well, this one's also probably one of my favorites because it's just like so simple and fun and really vibey, you know. But yeah, so I was really into like at the end of August, at the beginning of September. That's when the popular video game Among Us started to get popular, and I really wanted to make a song called No Lies Detected for like the longest time, like, and yeah, this one I just knew I had to use it. So I was really trying to see where I could use this, until eventually I got into the game Among Us, and I realized that it's literally the imposter's job to lie. And I was like, finally, something I can use this for. So the whole song is actually written in the perspective of the imposter, and they don't want to live lie free.
Gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Is gonna be okay, which we just talked about how there's two different versions. Now I noticed a difference between like the demo version and the album version. And like you said, it has kind of a different sound to it. Like the demo, I think, sounded more melancholy, I guess, maybe,
Yeah.
or more sad. Could you go into, well, first of all, go into the regular track, and then we can go into the demo.
Okay. So for the regular track, I was actually, because I had already made I was actually working on the demo already, and I put it as track number 3 because just like all the other albums before, like Blue and Technology, I always had track 3 be like the more acoustic style song, like with On Away in Pictures. And for this one, I kind of wanted to do the same thing, but I realized that like it would really break the flow between No Lies Detected and On My Mind. Like it's like a random acoustic song, and I didn't really feel like it fit at all. So I wanted to recreate it in a way that sounded cohesive, but still kept like the same kind of personality to it. and like it's supposed to be like a cheery, uplifting song that's like supposed to uplift people from feeling sad, and that's what I wanted the final version to be like as well. And yeah, I just worked on it one day. It was during school. I probably missed a couple of Google Meets, but I don't care.
Honestly, worth it.
Yeah.
You're on my
This one definitely gave me very like Chromatica kind of vibes
Mhm.
to it. It's got a very like it's like definitely the bop of the album. It's very bombastic sort of dance song. Could you go into this a little bit?
Yeah, so this was also one of the earlier songs that I started to write for the album. It was actually the exact seventh song that I started to write. Uh, right after Sad Eyes, and I started writing it, and I felt this was one of the few songs that are on the album where I actually didn't have any idea what I wanted to do at all, and I was just like randomly producing a track with the synthesizers and stuff within my program, and I came up with the chord progression G minor, F, D sharp, D major. And the D major is actually what makes the chord progression really unique sounding, because it's supposed to be a D minor to fit within the scale, but the major makes it seem almost like an natural minor, even though it's a major. So I really like these chords, so I wanted to work on something with it, and I started to make the instrumental a bit, and then I had a random idea. I was like, "You're on my mind," and I I felt like I wanted to make a song that was like that for a while, but I didn't like write it down or anything. Uh, and I felt like that this was like the perfect song to do it on, because it's like really fun and it sounds kind of dark with the D major chord. Uh, and I kept on, like, throughout the production process, I was like writing as I went on, and it repeats a lot, because like the chorus is just like a falsetto melody that I made, and then it just says on my mind like 30 times.
There's so many layers I have to go through. I wish I could be who I was meant to. Society rolls over me anyway.
Next track is Layers, which
Mhm.
was the second single, unless you count Why Me.
Oh yeah,
I
I
guess kind
forgot
of.
about that one.
Yeah, but Layers, which right now when we're on Skype and that's what he's using as his profile picture.
Oh yeah.
I think definitely was a very important song, and I said it's one of my favorites.
Mhm.
Before we get to the music video and some of the backlash that came out, could you just
Oh
talk
yeah.
about the song for a bit?
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I was going to make a darker type of album with like a bunch of songs that were like more on the dark side of humanity. And this was actually one of the ideas that I had. I wrote down that I wanted an idea where there's like so many layers and st- st- stuff that people have to go through in life just to feel like accepted or necessary within society. And I didn't realize like how impactful the song would be for me over time, because like when I came up with the idea, I figured, oh, this would be like a perfect lead single for like this project that I'm doing, because it's like perfect to the meaning of this really dark album that I'm thinking about trying to make. And until Kyler Gray, or no, Kayla Gray, sorry, in my Q&A, I didn't know how to pronounce the name, and they actually told me right afterwards. So it's Kayla Gray, and yeah, that I told him about it, and he made the instrumental that you hear today. Uh, he sent it to me, and I thought it was amazing, and I thought it was great. And then I just wrote the chorus for it. No, I made I wrote the chorus first, and then I sent that to him, and then he made a whole new instrumental for it, and that's how the whole thing started. And yeah, it was actually slept on for a really, really long time, like at least until August, I think, because I I wanted to make the song a thing, but I didn't know how I was going to do it because yeah, there's just so much that I wanted to say, and I wasn't writing anything. I wasn't writing anything for it. But yeah, with the lyrics that I wrote, tried to stitch together the buttons that keep me blind. So like this takes the view of ignorance, where like if you don't know something, then you just better not like understand it at all. Like when people question like racist jokes against like Asians, for example, because I know that there's been a lot of people in my life that still think that like racist jokes are hilarious and stuff when they're really not. And it's sort of like saying that you're keeping ignorance on your eyes, or well, you're keeping ignorance to yourself, and it's using the Coraline as like a metaphor for it, you know, like the button eyes. And yeah, so I really wanted to say it for this song because it's perfect for the meaning, because there's a lot of ignorance for everything and it really sucks. And this is like using the perspective of someone who has a lot of ignorance, because I used to be really ignorant all the time. Like I didn't even think that feminism was something that was super necessary back in like 2018, even though I know fully well that it is now. I've grown so much ever since then. And because I grew up where a lot of people around me told me that stuff it doesn't matter. It's not necessary. People are always complaining about everything. They're always offended by stuff, and that's the perspective that I grew up with. So this is kind of like a look into my past and trying to see, like, I've recognized now that it's a way that I used to be, and I've grown so much from it.
Yeah, but like it definitely like it sounds really cohesive, so it doesn't sound like oh, this is like a totally other person. Like it really matches with the full album. So
yeah, I was so glad.
Yeah, definitely. So the music video, which features you kind of like miniature sized with like a lot of like I guess in like a kind of white world with like a lot of large objects. I was really cool edited. I really enjoyed it. Could you talk about the creative process with the music video?
Yeah, so actually everything tells a story, and I was actually waiting to this moment to finally tell it, because like the video itself doesn't tell the story that I was trying to tell. I've already told like a couple of my friends already about it, but the reason why I'm in this trapped world is because, or this pure blank world with random objects around me, is because this is the perspective of someone that was beaten up by a gang of people who were homophobic, and they've beaten them up to the point where they're in a coma, and now they're in a hallucination within their head while they're in the coma. So all of this is like a dream. Like the random objects that are around actually correlate with the doctors in the room. So like there's like a rose that appears in the second verse. That's actually a pen, because you know how doctors always have like, or just like anyone in general, sometimes have like flowers on the end of their pens.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the clip represents the clipboard with the papers that I've actually taken pictures that are in the music video in the bridge that like randomly show up for no reason, but there is a reason because it like ties this whole theory together, not theory, story. And yeah, I wanted to make it subtle enough where people like when they watch the video, they're going to be really confused. And that's kind of like what I was trying to go for, because it's a very odd video. Like I was trying to come up with the concept for it, and I didn't know what story I wanted to tell. And then like while I was editing it, I realized that this was like telling a specific story. And then the story that came up was the one that I'm telling right now. It came up to mind because recently I just read, while I was editing this, I had recently just read an article about a guy in Florida that was beat up by a bunch of people that said that they were trying to eliminate all F slurs in the world, and they beat him up to the point where he was almost completely dead, and he was in the hospital, and it was just so heartbreaking, and I felt like people need to be more aware of that, because that still happens. People say that it has in fact gotten way better now, like how society accepted the LGBTQIA plus community, but there's still instances like this where they're still happening, and it's making the news and stuff. Yeah,
And
thank you.
funny you say that about bullying and everything, because you experienced that with this video. If you're okay with talking about that, where you released a song on Instagram or something, and got quite a bit of mean comments. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Oh yeah, I can talk about that. So yeah, I made a 15-second video of me just doing like the choreography to the second verse on Instagram, and said that my new single Layers is out now, and then it didn't get like any attention at all. And then right when I was about to go to bed at like 2 a.m., because for some reason that's my normal schedule, and well, it instantly got like 30,000 views just out of nowhere. And no, not 30, 13, sorry. Which I guess is the unlucky number, which would make sense in this situation. And yeah, just like a bunch of people that told me that, or some of them even called me the F slur, which I reported. And it's just, in this situation, like, I can handle it, because like I feel like I've grown like so much as a person, where if random people I don't know are calling me stuff, like it's not even, like there's not really a label to people like acting gay, how people say, oh, that's so gay. Like, what does that even mean?
Like, okay, thanks, I am bicis.
Exactly. And yeah, so many people were just like, well, yeah, a lot of people were starting to use that, and it reminded me of like the reason why I made the song, because bullying and stuff is still happening to this day, and this is only further proof of that. And honestly, I didn't really well, I cared, because like people like this experience this on the daily, and it's so sad, because they do experience it every day, and they don't know how to cope with it as well. But like yeah, for me personally, it didn't bother me as much. But so that's why I kind of tried to make fun of the whole situation in a way.
Yeah, well, definitely. A lot of the things they said were like not the most creative. Like page 1 out of the insult book.
Exactly.
Like, haha, you're different. It's like, and
yeah, and
yeah. And some of them said like you're a bad singer, which like your voice is so amazing. I would like literally kill someone to have your voice. So like,
oh my gosh, no, you
so
don't.
But people just would say like the silliest things, and I put it on my story and I talked about it a bit. But
yeah, I saw everything that you put on your story. It was really awesome, and how you put even more issues that like stemmed from it into it. It was really great.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I definitely want to stick up for you. I try and stick up for people who I support, and likewise. But it is so funny that you said how the song is about ignorance and layers, and like you're talking about the video, and then sure enough, people in the comments they do that.
It's only proof of exactly what I wrote.
Which a good thing to add to that, I'll go and tell you, is I guess Instagram did come through and give you some marketing, because I got your ad for Layers on Instagram.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So I actually meant to screenshot it and send it to you. I forgot to, but I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah. So
OMG.
Yeah,
I paid like $45 to get it sponsored throughout Instagram.
Sweet. All right. Well, marketing worked out because I got the ad. And I guess a
Awesome.
lot of awful people did too. But who knows? Maybe you gained some fans from that. So maybe it was worth it. Well, I'd say it definitely was worth it because it got the song more out there.
Oh, also, I got a comment on the actual Hairs video where they were like joking about the green screen, and like I actually had the idea. I was telling my friend Tamia about it. If she's listening, hi, and I was actually giving her the whole breakdown and the idea of using a green screen, but like a low quality green screen to represent like a dream, because this is like kind of a fake world. So I wanted the green screen to be purposefully kind of choppy, like how it would be in like a 90s inspired synthwave video. You know how some people like purposefully, or like a Dua Lipa's One Kiss Is All It Takes video, where she
Mhm.
still has like the outline of the blue screen around her. Yeah, it was supposed to be like that, because there's no reason why I'd ever put like an actual video that looks like that, where it's supposed to be perfect, and have it come out that way, because like I wouldn't even do like a green screen video like that if it turned out that way. I just completely do something else.
To me, those sad eyes keep listening.
Okay, so Interlude 1 I made this year because I was listening to the album and I realized, Hairs going into Sad Eyes, there's kind of like a little bit of a disconnect, and I just wanted something to like kind of fill it in, because in Interlude 1 it starts out more like the house kind of influence, or like the 2000s sound that all the songs before it had, and then it kind of crosses over into like more of like a rock type sound, not rock, but just like more with like a realistic drums, like as you probably heard.
Mhm.
So I just wanted there to be more of like a smoother transition into the songs, because this whole portion of the album is definitely a lot more on the like I don't want to say grungier, but more like rough type songs, where they use more like realistic sounding instruments and stuff. Like the way I like to move in Petra Vortny, super different compared to Layers.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just wanted something kind of like to smoothen it out a little bit.
And then you said Sad Eyes was kind of a song about your friendship with Mikey, I believe.
Oh no, it's not a song that's about it. It's just a song that it's the song that started it, because he contacted me, and well, wait. Actually, I don't know if I forgot who contacted each other first, but we got into a contact with each other somehow, and I heard his remix of Paparazzi, the 80s remix that he had on his channel, and I realized, oh my gosh, this is a type of sound that I wanted to make for my next album, because I just put Blue out and I started to make all these electronic sounding songs, and I wanted to have an 80s inspired song as well, because I always do that for some reason, with Heaven on the Radio and This Is How You Love Somebody from the first two albums. I always have a random 80s sounding song.
I
And
mean, you gotta go back to the 80s. I mean, come on.
yeah, clearly, obviously. And so that I really want, because like he just uses GarageBand on his phone, and it is so impressive. I actually heard his album recently, and it's so cohesive and so awesome, and he even uses the same bass line or the bass synthesizer that he used for Sad Eyes, the opening bass synth that you hear. That was all him, and he actually used that in one of the songs on the album. You'll be able to hear it. So yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I'm not going to give away any other details besides the album is awesome and it's cohesive. But yeah, uh, yeah, he worked on like most of the instrumental. Like there's a couple of demos that I made when I first started to write Sad Eyes, and like the instrumental is completely made by him, and I only did like a little bit of remastering to like some of the stems, like making sure that everything was EQ'd right, and then later during this year I actually changed up the drums a little bit. But yeah, that's all I did. Everything was basically created by him. So props to Mikey. And so yeah, well, he sent that to me, and then I thought it was absolutely perfect, because all I did was send him chords, which is like A sharp, F, E minor, C, I think, and then it repeats. And I was like trying to work on the chorus and stuff, and I didn't know like what exactly I wanted, but this instrumental was so amazing, and it had like all the chimes and everything. He did like every single thing he did, and it was perfect, and it was exactly how I wanted it to sound. And so I was really trying to force myself to come up with something good, because it was like, if I don't come up with anything like cool, I'm just gonna say that, cool, then it's gonna be like a waste of his time and stuff. And so I was worried that I wasn't gonna be up to par with his production. So I was like, and so it took me a little while to come up with something, but eventually, randomly, I just randomly sang, uh, "But words don't scream like your eyes do," and then I realized, oh my gosh, wait, I love this melody, and I wrote it down and I sang it in my voice memos and everything, because like it at the time, it wasn't a melody that I'd ever made before, ever, and I was so excited. Like, I even told him, like, while I was making it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best melody I've ever made for any of my courses ever. And I was even like, at that point, I was even considering it being like a second single or something, because oh, actually no, I'll get to that when we talk about it, but about the song Amuse. But yeah, I was super excited, and ecstatic. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Ecstatic, something like that. Super excited about the song. And I was like pressuring myself to like do so good on it, and it felt really awesome to finally come up with a chorus that I felt like was actually worth something. So then throughout the year, uh, I started to write like the verses and stuff, because the verses took a little while to make, not too long though. I was just working on everything else, so like every other song on the album. And then like you know how you have periods where you just like you work on one song for so long, and then you like work on everything else, and then you just like completely forget the song for like a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what happened with this one. And yeah, and I wanted well, I should have said this from the beginning, but I wanted to write the song about uh my experience with being like how I'm able to like detect people's emotions just from like seeing them, or like how they text and stuff. And because like my mom is an empath, and I don't think I'm an empath, but I feel like I've carried some of the traits over. And where like I can tell how people are feeling just by their behavior. And like I can tell if they're trying to hide something too. And I just wanted it to be more I wanted this song to be symbolic in that way, because like the lyrics throughout the verses tell a story about a person that I'm with, and they're always like hiding behind a fake smile, and their eyes are really like telling about how they actually feel, and it doesn't match with the smile at all, and I can tell that there's something wrong with them. Really nervous, because this was such an awesome instrumental, and that kind of carried over for like a little bit. Like after I made the chorus and stuff, it started to like slowly come back. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna make the song the best it can be. And like early 2021, I started to like really get into it again, and I started to like produce, or I started to rework some of the frequencies and stuff, because before I actually like I started to listen to the album and see how it sounded all together, with like a bunch of different speakers and stuff, to see how it would sound. And I realized a lot of the frequencies are way too high, and the lows are way too high, and the mids are way too low. And there's just so much mixing and EQing that I just need to fix. And Sad Eyes, it didn't sound great. And the drums weren't really helping either, because I was trying to go for more of like a more like raw type sound with the drums, and they just weren't working out. Till eventually one day I worked with the hi-hats specifically, and that just changed everything. Like the hi-hat sound that you hear on the verses, yeah, I just had to like stretch them so they have like more of like more, I don't know, but it just really added something to it that I felt like it needed that it was lacking before. So if you're ever having trouble with production, just stretch samples. It might get you to where you need to be. Really nervous because this was such an awesome instrumental, and that kind of carried over for like a little bit. Like after I made the chorus and stuff, it started to like slowly come back. Like I don't know how I'm gonna make the song the best it can be, and early 2021, I started to like really get into it again, and I started to like produce, or I started to rework some of the frequencies and stuff, because before I actually I started to listen to the album and see how it sounded all together with like a bunch of different speakers and stuff to see how it would sound, and I realized a lot of the frequencies are way too high, and the lows are way too high, and the mids are way too low, and there's just so much mixing and EQing that I just need to fix. And Sad Eyes, it didn't sound great, and the drums weren't really helping either, because I was trying to go for more of like a more like raw type sound with the drums, and they just weren't working out. Till eventually one day I worked with the hi-hats specifically, and that just changed everything. Like the hi-hat sound that you hear on the verses, yeah, I just had to like stretch them so they have like more of like more, I don't know, but it just really added something to it that I felt like it needed that it was lacking before. So if you're ever having trouble with production, just stretch samples. It might get you to where you need to be.
Too many miles, so far away, just to say I love you.
So Shooting Stars, this song has some really interesting lyrics. I feel like kind of like something out of a storybook, I guess to say. Could you go into like the writing of this song?
Okay, so I first started to write this because I had recently just gotten like a different guitar VST, which I actually use the same guitar VST for the way I like to move, the little hunky guitar that you hear throughout the song. But yeah, I just got that recently, and I created this really cool melody with it that you actually hear at the very beginning of the song. And I felt like I needed to write something really special and warm, because it uses the key of F major, and that key to me just sounds like really warm and inviting and like all lovey-dovey in some way. And I just wanted to make a song because at the time I was with my ex still, and you know, we were on pretty good terms, and I just wanted to say that, because like this was kind of like telling them that I still really valued our relationship, and actually we're still great friends right now, but you know, at the time I just wanted to say that. And even though it didn't exactly work out, it still we managed to stay in each other's lives in a much happier way. And so yeah, with this song, I just wanted it to be a very sweet love song that was actually this is a continuation of the past two albums. Each eighth track of each album had a space theme song, and they all continue the story of that song. So like Hootin' for the Stars on Technology, it tells a story of a really bad relationship that just isn't working out, but they're still trying and wishing and hoping with the stars in the sky that they're wishing for, that they're just like striving for that. And in Past the Stars, they start to realize that they start to realize that there's faults within themselves rather than the other person, and it just really goes in depth with that. So, and they realize that like they might be the one problem causing this horrible relationship to be horrible. And yeah. And then for Shooting Stars, it's sort of like an ending to the story where they realize like they finally realize their troubles, and they know that they need each other in life, and it's like an ending to the story.
That's so that's like honestly amazing. I especially what you said earlier about how like every track 3 is like the more like acoustic kind of one, and then
Mhm.
every track 8 is like space theme. I did not pick that up. I'll have to like look back at that now. That's honestly, there's so much thought that you put into that. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, and definitely I got what you meant like about the inviting. It sort of felt like a very like, tender kind of song.
Mhm.
So the next track, unless you have anything else to say.
Oh yeah, the harmonies were really interesting to make. Because like I wanted because like the opening is just the lead vocal only, and then the actual chorus is like in like a whole entire choir.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, there's definitely like you like how you layered like the vocals. It sounded really good, honestly. It also
Thank
added
you.
like kind of like a galactic sort of sound to it. Yeah, it definitely like enhanced the song a lot.
Oh, also the key change at the end. I don't know if I've ever told this, but like I have a really like emotional connection to certain keys, and G sharp is one of them. And I figured I wanted a key change at the end because it sounded like an 80s type of song, like an 80s type ballad, like not like pop wise, but like it just really reminded me of something that would be in like an 80s movie almost, because like the lyrics are a little bit cheesy, so it kind of has that kind of touch to it. And I figured a key change would be perfect for that because the 80s literally lived through key changes. And when it goes from F to G sharp, it's like a whole 3 steps up. And even though it might be harder for some people to reach that, it's not too tough for me. So I really wanted to make sure that had like an emotional attachment to it as well. And I added a bunch of melodies for the outro that I thought just only amplified the 80s cheesiness to it. It almost reminds me of like the end credits of an 80s movie. That's exactly what it reminds me of.
That's the way I like to move. Step away, move to the groove. There's a thing you have to prove. That's the way I like to. That's the way I like to move. Step away.
I said this in the Q&A. It started with it started with the bass line, and I was working on that bass line alone, and it sounded like it sounded like a song that would be on Future Nostalgia to me when I started to make it. Like, you know how Break My Heart and Hone Start Now have very specific bass lines within them?
Hmm.
Yeah, it really reminded me of that. And I just wanted to see Harrow's, or no, I just wanted to see like what I could do with that to improve that feeling, because there's like I've tried to make disco songs before, and either they just turn into something else or they just flop. And I knew that with this kind of bass line for a song, it couldn't flop because it was way too good for me to not use. So I started to work on it more, and I made a drum loop for it. It's not a drum loop. It's just like I use like drum stuff, and then I just loop them within the program. And then I used a hi-hat, like an actual hi-hat that I have, except I don't know where it went right now, but I'm glad that I used it at the time. So I have the recording of it. But the hi-hats that you hear, like hands to the left side, that's an actual one that I recorded in my room. And it started with that and a bunch of synthesizers that you hear during the pre-chorus, because I use those same synthesizers for like an intro. In the first couple of demos, there's like the intro lasts like a minute long before it gets to the verse, and I'm so glad that I cut it so much, because it's just like a buildup of everything that's in the song. Yeah, I'm glad that it got cut. There's a lot of things that I feel like I'm glad that I cut from the album just to be cohesive with, and that's one of them. So yeah, it all started with the bass line and the productions, and then when I was trying to come up with the chorus, I wanted something that was just really fun and captivating, and I was really inspired by I don't know if I was like inspired by her, but I just really imagined Adana, really like I just thought of her while I came up with this chorus, and it just I don't know why, but it just really reminds me of her.
Work, honestly, she's like a very good inspiration to have.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so yeah, creating the song really just started with a bunch of really simple ideas put together and inspirations, and yeah, I just worked on the song for a very long time. Well, it wasn't too long, but like technically I've been working on all of these songs for a really long time. Just like I made like a you know how you just make like a version of it and then you just like improve on it very uh very little by little every month or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like that.
definitely. And so you started filming the music video. How long was that after the song was made?
Okay, so I have it pulled up. The song was made on August 13th, 2020. It was one of the last couple of songs that I actually wrote for the album, which is kind of weird to think about because it's the lead. But yeah, so I had the idea for the music video in my head. I had a couple of ideas. Like there's like a random scene that I just randomly thought of where I could see myself in space with planets and stuff that I would try to do with a green screen. But in case you don't know, people don't like green screens when I use them, so I'm glad I didn't go with it. And yeah, so and I also had an idea for like a disco scene as well with like a disco ball and people on roller skates in like one secluded room, and it would be like that, and everyone would be doing choreography. And pitch I came up with like a whole scenario for that would go into a different type of style music video for Layers, which I'm glad it didn't exactly happen because everything that's worked out so far is so much more within my reach that I feel like if I tried to do something else, it wouldn't have come out as well executed as they have. So yeah, I'm glad that I did it the way it actually turned out. But yeah, the music video, I had it planned to be like a tour of St. Paul because that's where that's where my dad and his whole side of the family originated basically for like so many years, and you know they don't really live there anymore, but they know exactly like the routes and the streets and everything, and it's crazy because not a lot of people know like where everything is the way that my dad and my and the other side of my family does, his side. And I just wanted to be I wanted to be like I want it to be like a reminiscent type video where it's like a bunch of memories put together, and that's how my dad felt about it too, where we were going to all these places that he had such a nostalgic connection with, and yeah, he's really glad that I wanted to do that.
I think it's so amazing that you two work together, and it definitely adds there's a very like you said, a very kind of like nostalgic kind of feel with the music video, which also really matches with the old kind of funky style of the song.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because now when people go to St. Paul and they've seen your music video, they'll get to like see like, oh, that was from the music video and stuff. So like especially like the church, I believe that's right, a church that you have the cover art. Like I always think that's a really cool visual from like the music video and the cover art.
Yeah, oh my gosh, wait, I completely forgot what it actually was, but I think it was like a mural of some kind. It probably is a church. I think it is actually, but I think that it had like a specific name for it that I just completely forgot, which is pretty bad of me because I'm supposed to know everything. I did know. It's just not coming to my brain right now.
That always happens. It's always when you need it most.
Exactly. But yeah, at first I thought it was the Capitol, and it turns out it's not. So I just have like a random church on the cover, but I actually did record the capital in the video. There's like a random zoom in shot in the second verse, I think, where it does that. So it is in the video, but it's just not the cover or the thing that's representing the song.
Also, I think it's such an amazing video. How long did it take you to shoot that? I know I think you said this in your Q&A, but I guess for the people listening.
Well, like it took so long to plan it, but because like I had like all the outfits and stuff planned out, so I really wanted to like shoot it as soon as possible. And like as I said in the Q&A, I planned to do it in December, but it snowed because he live in Minnesota, and that's common. And so I was still trying to plan it out, and I figured that I should record the video after it's all done snowing, so that would be like in April, between like February and March, where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull off these lead singles because I wanted Petra Vortny to stay as like an album track until like the end of this year for like something that I have planned for it, but I'm not going to get into that quite yet because I wanted to keep it. But I realized that like it's been so long since I've released music. It's been like ever since Why Me back in July of last year that I wanted to put out 2 songs to cater to 2 different people. So now I had all this types or just groups of people, and so now I had like 2 responsibilities on me, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to get the video done at all for any of the songs at all. And just when I had it all planned to record the video in like the middle of April, guess who got the virus?
Oh.
So I had to quarantine for 2 weeks, and I couldn't do anything. And my dad actually grilled, and I couldn't taste it at all, and it sucked.
Oh.
But yeah, I recovered, and everything turned out great. And we literally filmed the video a week before the song came out.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah. He actually did a little bit of filming like at the beginning of April where we just like drove around because we were still like planning to see where we wanted to go and stuff. And he took a couple of videos of like the landscapes and a couple of locations. And there's a bunch of locations that we actually recorded throughout this whole recording process that I'm probably going to have to put in the lyric video because there's just so much that was cut out from the actual video that I still have the footage for. But yeah, we were planning at the beginning of April, and we took some shots, and yeah, it was so unfortunate, but we were all okay, and we quarantined, and we finished the video, and I took a screenshot of that church type thing that's for the cover that I forget the name of, and I sent that to Amuse because you can only have like a 2-week period. Well, for pro users, you can only have a 2-week period where you have to submit music in, and then it takes them 2 weeks to actually distribute it to like a day that you want it to be released. So I had 2 weeks to come up with the cover, and then I had to come up with the cover before the 2-week period started, and so I just took a screenshot from one of the little footages that we made. Well, taking all that time off, like the 2 weeks that I had off, it actually inspired me so much. Like it came like in my head, I came up with lyric video ideas because I want to try to make lyric videos for all the songs on the album. And I made 2 officially, by the way. But yeah, I came up with ideas for all of them. And I don't think I would have came up with them if I wasn't in quarantine this whole time. And there's just like so many ideas that I came up with creatively for the era that I feel like I would have never even thought of if I never spent these 2 weeks all by myself. And I'm glad that it happened.
One match makes a gas flame, one chance to burn away. The chill of night can't put us out. No smoke, only fire now.
There was like a period in the making album process where I just really wanted to make more of like a natural type sounding production where it sounds like it's made using like more natural type elements, because I've been making a bunch of dance music for it, you know, like with the High Me and On My Mind and stuff. and I felt like I just needed like a little bit of like a refresher from all that. And so I was just like working with a bunch of synthesizers, and then I came up with this one that just sounded like more atmospheric, and I made like a melody that stayed within the C major scale for it, and I really liked it. It reminded me of like a song that I would have heard well, the melody for it. It reminded me of something that I would have heard on like the Prism album by Katy Perry, and I it felt kind of like mesmerizing in a way. So I just wanted to continue to work on it, and then I made like the instrumental within a day, and then the next day I actually started to write some lyrics for it, and I realized that like I could use like fire as a metaphor for love again, because I didn't really write a whole lot of love songs at the time. This was before Shooting Stars, so I wanted to make a song about like relationships that I go through some troubles, but you know, in the long run, you know, you guys still love each other, and you know that, and you sorry, there's just and you know that you love each other, so you're going to push through any kind of troubles that you guys may have, because there's nothing that's going to replace the flame that you have, and even the smoke itself. You know, the smoke represents the troubles in this song. You know, there will be smoke, but there will always be a fire that starts it.
Dream of mine. It's a sweet.
Tetravortney, which is
Mhm.
introverted backwards, which I actually
Yes.
made a mistake. Earlier I said Layers was the second single, technically, but I said third, but technically I guess this one is the third if you include Why Me. And this was included, as you said, with The Way, which the song's, you know, a really dance song, and then this song's a ballad. And this one
Yeah.
has, I guess maybe surprisingly, for you, I guess, became uh one of your most like viewed songs, I believe you said,
Yeah.
or and it's a very personal song, and one I relate to a lot. It's a problem I have, and I need to stop. But
Oh no.
yeah. But could you talk about this one?
Yeah, so I wrote this. I actually started to write this song a week before I broke up with my ex. Or I started to make it, and then I was trying to come up with like a melody for it. And I did come up with the melody that you hear, the chorus, well, the first chorus that you hear, because there's like it's like there's a bunch of pre-choruses, and then the actual chorus is like it's a sweet dream of mine. That's what my dad says. That's the actual chorus apparently. But I was working on the melody that comes before that. Sometimes I just want to be all alone, something like that. And I made that, and I didn't know what I wanted it to be about. And then I went through the breakup, and then I realized exactly what I wanted it to say and be about. And then when I started to write the rest of the song, I realized, oh wait, I could actually use this as like it doesn't have to be about a breakup. It could also be about like about my own life, and like how I feel kind of secluded all by myself in my room, and I make like all of my own music and stuff. And you know, people can use it as like a metaphor for like how they felt during the quarantine era of 2020. Well, pretty much all of 2020 was like the quarantine era.
Oh, definitely. Sadly, still kind of
Yeah.
in that era.
It's kind of getting better right now in America. Like a lot of kids at my school are starting to like take off their masks and stuff, which I don't know. I don't do it. But like, I guess if you get vaccinated, then good for you. But I'm just gonna keep it on.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually didn't even make that connection because, you know, the song's about being really secluded and everything, and I totally forgot that totally, you know, works with the quarantine and everything.
Mhm.
So when the song got all the attention it did, you said that you were, like, I don't want to say disappointed, but you were like surprised, I guess. But were
Yeah.
you really happy when the song did so well, or
Oh
do you
yeah,
kind
I
of
was
wish
super
maybe another one
happy.
did?
Yeah, I was super happy because like I love the song and but I didn't like expect it to like receive the amount of like views that it got. Like the lyric video that's on my channel has over 1,000 views right now, and it's just like so random. And I found thank you, and you know I was a little surprised because like the lead single, The Way I Like to Move, I expected that one to get like the most popularity, but I realized that I haven't really put out like a ballad as a single before, or as like a opener into an era before ever. And I think maybe that's what I just really needed to do because people like when if anyone ever thinks of me, they're probably gonna think of like the more popular stuff like Blue or This Is How You Love Somebody or even Why Me actually because that's my most popular. So when they see that I have and I release a ballad first along with another pop song, they're probably gonna aim more towards that one. But also because I'm not completely delusional, I know that that's not the reason why. It's actually because of a TikTok thing that came up whenever people search for that TikTok meme, and then his song just came up for it.
Honestly, though, it's funny you say that because TikTok that happened with Lee too. So it's really funny that TikTok is surprisingly becoming the best way for people to get their music heard.
Honestly,
yeah, but it's great that that happened because I do think it's a great song. I really enjoyed it when it was first released. Um, uh, what led them to this song? Was there like a similar title or?
yeah, hang on. It was like a TC Idol Do D or something like that. It was like a type of song that that was like trending on it, and then because of the word TC, my artist name was also being used in it. His song came up. Out of all songs that could have came up, this one came up, and it got a lot of attention. And I feel like I should probably do something with this song eventually because I did a live performance of it because of that because I wanted to do a lot more live performances this era, and I'm going to, but like I'm trying to figure out the best way to plan them because there's so much that I have to so much thought that I have to put into stuff like this, and it's not as easy as like setting up your camera and hanging in front of it, even though that's pretty much what I did with Javortny's live performance video. But
which is really great. I recommend people check it out.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, I wanted to come up with what I'm wearing in the performance video is actually what I wanted to wear in a music video for it that I was trying to plan out for a little while towards the beginning of this year. So if I ever do make a video for it in the future, that's probably what I'm going to be wearing in it.
Oh yeah, I really like that outfit, like with the headband and everything.
Yeah, the headband was actually a choice that I made like right before I started to film it. The poncho that I'm wearing, the black poncho that's like headed and stuff with stripes, that's the main thing that I would be wearing in the video, along with a gray shirt.
Well, very exciting. Looking forward to the music video and a great song. I think this is like, if you're gonna have a ballad on the album, it really needs to be something important. And I feel like this song is like really personal and it really goes with the rest of the album. So I definitely think it's a highlight.
Thanks.
I love the sort of like atmospheric sort of production.
Yeah, I was super inspired by like indie music, but like I wanted it to still be kind of cohesive within the album. So I put some modern production within the second verse, especially. There's like an 80s style synthesizer that's kind of in the background, and like a snare that's like more modern sounding. Oh yeah, sure. So with the interlude, because I had the track list already made, and it was Hetchavortny and then Why Me. Actually, no, for the longest time, there was another song that was that was going to be in place of Hetchavortny before I wrote it, called I Don't Want to Be Me. And it uses the same chord progression that I had in an unreleased song that I had on my channel for a while, but then I made it unlisted. But yeah, so it was a really dark ballad that said I don't want to be me, and then that would with the lyrics it would like transition into Why Me. But since I took that song out because I just didn't like the way it sounded anymore, and it was really tough to produce too because I had all these ideas that I couldn't do it at the time, and I'm glad I replaced it with Hetchavortny. But when I was compiling it together and I was like listening through it, I realized there wasn't really any transition between Hetchavortny and Why Me at all. Like they're way two different songs, and I felt like I needed to do something that kind of combined the two again, like what I did with Layers and Sad Eyes, where it kind of starts out on the beach and then you're like walking up to someone who's playing Why Me on the radio, like as you hear, and then the person who's listening to the radio realizes there's someone else there, and then they turn it down. And it's just like kind of a little funny, lighthearted thing that I wanted to do. And yeah, it's just like a perfect transition into Why Me, because I felt like there needed to be something there because I never made interludes before, like on my albums. I guess Alien could be an interlude, but it's still like a demo on Technology. But like I've never really seen the purpose of interludes, and then I realized like while I was trying to make this the final album at the beginning of this year, when I was trying to like finalize it and stuff, I realized that there's like too many inconsistencies that really needed something in between. So along with like this interlude and the first interlude, they have their purpose. So I wrote Why Me because I actually was watching a reaction video to I think like a Rihanna album, but I think it was AJII who was reacting to it, and she was listening to a song that was talking about a story of Rihanna being really attracted to this person for no reason, I think. And then AJ was like, do they walk on water? Like what's so great about them? And that was like the point of the story, and she was just like adding on to it. And then I realized like walking on water is like a really cool metaphor for like someone that's like all power almighty, like Jesus, like because it's a biblical reference, and it could be used for anything really, just to symbolize like high level power, because that's a superpower, because people can't walk on water. So I wrote it down, and I didn't really do anything with it for a while. And then I was going through my program and I was trying to make another song because I felt like I just really wanted to make a song that day, and I was just really into it. And then I made this, it all starts with a bass synthesizer pretty much, but it started with the bass synthesizer, and then I edited it. And then because I had to do like some like tweaks and edits to make it sound like proper with like the EQ and stuff. And then I added a normal synthesizer, like higher with the melodies, and all the synths that you hear within the song right now are exactly what I was creating. Like a lot of this album I feel like wasn't taken out like synth or production wise, because everything that you hear is like exactly how I oh my gosh, how do I say it? Everything that you hear was put in there for a reason, and they all stayed in there. So with Why Me, everything they hear is exactly what I was trying to add in through the production process. And then I realized that I wrote the line "Hawk on Water," and I wanted to use it for this song because it sounded like very like ocean type, where it just really reminded me of like a beach kind of setting, the way the instrumental was starting to sound. And I figured like this would be perfect for the imagery because it's and the imagery that I wanted was very like bright colors, like light blue and then light green and orange, all these like summery type songs or colors. I really wanted the song to represent this whole entire like peach party setting for this, because like I was imagining like a completely different type of music video for this song. I was imagining like a whole trip up to my grandparents' house for the 4th of July and then recording it all. But, you know, it didn't really end up that way. And I'm glad it didn't end up that way because like I'd edit it in a way that kind of felt cohesive with the song. And then it would end like at night with all the fireworks and stuff for like the last chorus. And it seemed cool in my mind, and I can like picture like how it would have been. It would have opened the exact same way the Layers video opens, like as a close-up of my face, like in bed, and then waking up and going to grandma's house. It was like how the beginning of the Layers video opens, just like zoomed in on my face. And yeah, I'm glad that never happened. So I took a different type of approach to it, one that I felt like actually it made the visuals so much like more cohesive with the actual song itself, because it had like a specific style to it. There's because like every scene has like a layer on top of it that's like more edited with like contrast and stuff. So it's like an outline or like a vignette throughout the whole entire video. And it had like this really cool aesthetic that I was really inspired by a music video for Head and Haley Williams song. I forgot what it was called. I'm going to look it up right now. And it's called Stay the Night. And in that music video, there's like all these like old-fashioned types of light bulbs and stuff. And I felt like I wanted to have that kind of vibe with it, but I'm running on a budget of $0 all the time.
Same.
And so I wanted to kind of like give it the same kind of like warm, cozy, like in a dark garage type feeling. And all I had was like these really bright yellow lights. And I was like, oh, well, this works out perfectly for me. And I wanted the song to be kind of strong too, because, you know, the production, it's, even though it's like more mid tempo, it's kind of hard hitting. So I wanted it to be like a silhouette of me the whole time, of me just like standing in front of this light. And that's exactly how it turned out to be.
And I'll go and say this now. I'm gonna have a link to your channel in the description of this video, so people can check out your music videos and everything, and your Q&A and that stuff.
Oh, thanks.
No problem. So after Why Me, we have I Still Got Feelings for You, which you talked about a little bit at the beginning, but I guess you could go into this one.
Okay, so I started to make the song in late 2018, and this was when I was still making music for technology. Before I even thought of the concept of technology, I was making this song, and I was making it, and it really reminded me of like a Taylor Swift song from 1989, which speaking of Taylor Swift, when I was making Only Fire Now, I was really inspired of her way of coming up with these really catchy choruses, and just like a We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together really inspired the chorus for that Only Fire Now. But so for this one, it really reminded me of like a song that would be on the 1989 album, and I was super obsessed with it at the time. So I wanted to kind of make a how when you feel inspired by something, but you don't want to like recreate it, you kind of want to like try to emulate that type of sound, but then you add in like all your own personal pizzazz
touch
to it. Yeah, so it started out like that, and I made the verse and I made the chorus, and then I just didn't work on it at all because I was working in Audacity for it, and the project file got corrupted. And I just, because, for some reason, like I just don't, or like I I just didn't work on it for like the past couple of years because I was like, well, there's not much I can do with it. I don't remember like how exactly it sounded and what the chords were, because it does have some pretty odd chords. They're more like everything is within the F major scale, but like it starts in the key of G minor. So it's really weird because it uses the E note, and if it stayed within the key, it'd use the E flat note. So yeah, there's a lot of complexity to the chord progression to keep with the melody that I had made for it. And I found like a really old, recently towards the end of 2020, I actually found like the really old demo for it out of nowhere. Like it came up within my files, and I realized that I didn't really have I wanted Why Me to be one of the last songs, but I didn't want it to be the encore because, to me, it seems like if you put out a song first as the encore before the album comes out, then it's almost like it's kind of like ruining the ending in a way, like when you spoil it, like when you spoil the ending of a movie. To me, it's sort of like that, even though like that's worked out perfectly for so many people, but I don't know if I would ever do that myself. And so I wanted another song to be the ending, and I realized that this would be a really horrible ending, but it's perfect because it leaves you, because it's a song about being so angry with someone that you broke up with recently, and it kind of sounds happy but like melancholy in a way. I don't know how to describe it, but either way, it's really energetic.
Like bittersweet, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's a really bittersweet way to end the album, and which means you should purchase the deluxe album instead.
Yeah, because then you get it's like when you play a video game, you get the bad ending or you get the good ending.
Exactly.
Though with this, honestly, both ways would be a good way to end because they're just both so amazing songs.
Thanks.
News, and you
Yes.
talked about how you got the name for this track and everything, and you said earlier you wanted to go back to this one because you had something else to say, so I'll let you take over.
Okay, so when I first started to make the album, this was actually one of the first albums that I wrote, and I actually even played it in the Blue live stream too. I played like a couple seconds of the chorus, and like the live stream that I did before when the album was coming out. Yeah, so a few people already heard it, and well, including you. I'm guessing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, a few people have heard it, and then I didn't think it was going to be part of the album for the longest time because it was really early in the stages of the album creation and like the meaning behind it. I just felt like I didn't really want it to be on the main album, which is why it's going to be on the deluxe album, but which you should purchase when it comes out. And yeah, so I tried to go back to it, and because like this was early on in the stages, it had a bunch of like production stuff that I wouldn't do today. Like it had a limiter on it, so it made sure that like all the songs was like equal, or the whole entire song was like equal volume, which is really bad in case you want to like put specific stems, or you want to export specific stems, because then everything will be completely out of level, like volume wise, if you do that. So I stopped doing that, and I had that on there, so I had to turn it off, and I had to like remix everything. And then I tried to re-record vocals for it, but I just felt like, when because at the time it was a very like it was a really loud, energetic song when I was making it, and still is. Even though the chorus is pretty softly sung, the production and stuff sounds like almost like happy angry is the way I could describe it. And so just I tried to make sure that I tried to re-record the vocals, and it just didn't really fit with the original vibe that it had. So I just kept the original vocals that I had on the demo on the final version. And yeah, I added some extra production stuff that I would usually do today, so it's a little bit like as modern as it could be. And yeah, I remastered the song basically, and it sounds the way it sounds right now.
I fly high tonight. I wanna paint the skies with you tonight. Butterfly, butterfly.
Butterfly, which
Mhm.
goes with the cover and everything, and you release this as a kind of like a promo single.
Yeah.
Uh, I really love the cover. I think it's really cute. Could you go
Thanks.
into this one?
Right before I do, I just wanted to say that, like, while I was listening to the album, I realized that I Still Got Feelings for You and Amuse actually go super well together because they're pretty much about, like, the exact same thing.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. So it's kind of like a continuation in a way of like the story.
Yeah, I love it when stories do that, where like endings that don't feel like endings are actually the beginning of a new story.
Definitely.
But yeah, with Butterfly, I was actually, well, I don't know if I should say anything, but like, for a while I wanted to make like a little EP that I'd put out in the future that's just full of like a radio friendly pop songs that I just really, because like with the Me album and another album that I'm working on, there's just like so much personality that's going into it. And for a while I felt like I was kind of suffocating with like all these super uh personal and he meanings and stuff. So I just really wanted to make a bunch of songs, or like a couple of them at least, and then I just put like a bunch of carefree lyrics into it because I felt like that's kind of what I needed. And Butterfly was one of the first songs that I started to make for it in probably March. Yeah, the middle of March, I think, when I started to make it. And then yeah, I really loved the song. It was the first song that I felt like I was actually starting to get good at making mainstream type sounding songs. And I figured it would be perfect for when I release it in a year. And then like I realized that like I felt, because like I had this intuition within me where I feel like some songs just need to be put out right now. Like the demo for like a really early demo for It's Gonna Be Okay is on my channel still to this day, when I first wrote it. And High Me came out really early because I felt like it was a super necessary song to put out. So when I was trying to make the rollout for this album, I realized Butterfly would be a perfect like kind of promo song to put out for people who might not like the more in-depth type music that I make. They could listen to that song, and then it's giving them something to appreciate, because I love it. So if other people can love it that don't really like my other type of music, then they have something to go back on. But yeah, so I made that song, and it's just such a fun, carefree song. I sent it to like my choir teacher and stuff, and she really liked it. And she's actually retiring the day my album comes out on June 11th.
Oh.
Yeah, so
It's always
yeah,
sad when a teacher you really connect with is like gone. It's like no.
exactly. And she's been working there for so long. Even my mom had her.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's really sad to see her go, but hopefully she'll be able to feel much better with the album once I send it to her. Because she really likes my music. She even wants to play my music for this next week of school. She actually asked me if I was okay with that, and of course I am, because like promotion, you know.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, that's awesome. Well, I hope
Yeah.
people at your school enjoy it. Oh, well, they should because it's absolutely amazing. Um, and what
Thank you.
you said about how it sounds modern, like this album, I think is really cohesive. No matter if it's a ballad, a more dancey song, kind of a midway song, I feel it's really cohesive. It
Oh,
sounds
thanks.
modern, but it has definitely influences of the 80s and 2000s and other eras.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and um, I'll also say I really like the acoustic version of Why Me. It made me actually really appreciate. I thought that was really beautiful.
Oh,
It's so
thanks.
interesting to hear like it kind of reminds me of like when Kylie she did like the Abbey Road sessions, which were like acoustic versions of like these really heavy kind of production songs, and it kind of makes you appreciate it as being something different. So I'm really glad you included that.
Yeah,
Um,
I love that. In fact, I want to try to make like acoustic versions for like a bunch of the songs on the album and release it as like an EP sometime later this year.
that would be awesome. Definitely, I would listen to that.
Oh,
Um,
thanks.
no problem. So I guess this is coming to the end of the interview.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so people know, again, June 11th is when the album comes out.
So excited.
Yeah, I think that's actually next week. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right, so next week. Um, and again, I'll have a link in the description so people can go to your channel and watch, music videos, and I'll also have a link to your Instagram. But which, speaking of which, that reminds me, where can people find you if they want to follow you and support you?
They can find me on. I actually updated my Twitter today for the first time in a while because I went on it and the first thing that popped up was the Way in Dutch Vortney coming April 30th, and I realized that was super out of date. But yeah, they can
Coming
find
April 30th, like a few months ago.
exactly. So, yeah, I on my Twitter, I just changed my username to my name is DC because actually I realized that my name DC, I if a label actually wants me to be a part of their label, and I might not be able to keep my name that way. So in the future, if I ever do get signed, I don't think I ever will, but if I do, then I'll have a name to fall back on, and that is my name is DC. So it keeps the DC, and I can just keep on calling myself that, and then my name is that's right in front of it could be like an extension onto it. So that's what I made my Twitter username.
So Twitter, Instagram, did you say Facebook as well?
Uh, I mean, kind of, but like I literally don't do anything on there, so yeah, it's not
Yeah,
really worth it.
yeah, I don't blame you. So yeah, so Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube,
Mhm.
um, and obviously, as we said earlier, the album's gonna be on, your streaming services, iTunes, wherever you get your stuff. But make sure
Spotify.
you support him. Listen to his stuff. Definitely, it's been a great interview to do with you. Anything you'd like to say as parting words?
Yeah, you were awesome to like interview with.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I definitely I try and because I think it's people like you or Lee, like they have such interesting stories and they have such talent, and
Oh,
no
thanks.
one's gonna give attention to them, and it's frustrating. It's like because people are too busy, like, oh my gosh, what's Jake Paul doing? Like, so I always want to like do an interview and like shout out people. So I'm really glad I could have you.
Oh,
And
thank you.
yeah, Me comes out June 11th, so y'all should stream that. And this has been Sam Willand, NDC, and we are